welcome to my channel. I am Amanita Dreamer. I am not your doctor. I'm not your therapist. And I am not telling you this is what you should do. I am merely educating you about what I learned about Amanita Muscaria, how I use it in my life, things I'm learning from the community over the last 4 to 5 years, and things that I have available at your disposal. Got it? Cool. Okay. I have a lot of videos on ibotenic acid. Most of them I cannot put here on YouTube, so they're on amanitadreamer.net if you want to learn about ibotenic acid and all of the wrong and bad information that's out on the internet and my take on it, okay? So watch those if you have questions. We're talking about ibotenic acid and ADD, ADHD. And the reason I'm talking about this is the very first time that I used it, the very first thing I learned about it was that. And that's how it treated me. And I said as much while I'm using it and problem solving and getting in these gamma flow states, using it to problem solve multidimensionally. And this isn't, of course, it's going to be dose dependent. You know what I mean? When I first started using it like that and being public about it, a couple of people that were already in my Patreon came to me and said, oh my God, I am ADD, ADHD. Let me tell you what this is doing for me. That sort of grew into me with people close to me in my life, me going, this is what I'm learning. What do you think? And then them trying it until finally, when I had to leave Patreon and make my own community because of censorship, one of the people in my community that was sort of at their breaking point with their job and their ability to function found this and said it changed their life and saved their job. And they wanted to start their own Zoom in my community. So now that's been running for 1.5 years, almost 2 years now. If you have ADD, ADHD and you are looking for solutions and you want to go down this particular path on your own and you want some help, then in my community at mushroomvoice.com, we have 2 Zoom meetings a month for that community. It is run by someone with ADD, and it is attended by people with ADD, ADHD. I speak at length about being a proponent for ibotenic acid, that it is not dangerous, why I don't believe it is, why I believe it is a multidimensional, multifaceted medicine that we will learn is actually one of the most powerful and complex medicines of the mushroom, and that it works in unison with muscimol in that 50-50, which is why that's what my blend is that I deal with and talk about so much. And then over to the muscimol side, which has its own issues, medicines, and needs and purposes, right? But ibotenic acid, because it hits the cholinergic pathways and the glutamate pathways, and the same receptors, nicotinic and muscarinic receptors, are involved with this mushroom. And those same receptors are involved in learning and eyesight development and attention, focus. The science itself, if you look at those neural pathways and just look at them on your own, you can find out what you want to learn about why this makes so much sense outside of the things that I can say about it and its ability in this area. I'm going to leave that comment discussion and I'm going to go into when you push that into just a little bit higher, because we can't talk about high dose ibotenic acid because it is very self-limiting. And if you are using it like the Russian protocol in Baba Mash's book, they talk about breaking it off and just eating dried pieces every single day for 30 days. But I know plenty of Russians that do that every morning their whole lives. I am not approving that or saying that or condoning that. I don't do that. I have found in America with the people that I talk to in the United States, and yes, I believe genetics may have something to do with this. People who take it every single day get into overdose situations, and some of them don't do very well. And in a very few instances, it can trigger either psychosis, mania, or just a complete meltdown, which I believe is overuse because you can only overclock your brain for so much for so long before consequences happen. And this is where you get into safe use, harm reduction, listening to your body. I talk about this in my book and how to find your dose. I have a video on how to find your dose, symptoms to look for, and when to back off. But nobody can give you, because this is not a one size fits all, nobody can give you what that is for you. The rule of thumb is literally the size of your thumbnail piece to break off as a microdose at the beginning of a day or task, and then don't use it every single day. Use it sparingly. When you start to get too many irritable, difficult symptoms and issues, clearly back off. One of the things that I have found is if I take that size piece and I go into a meeting, I can function. I pull in all the things I need. I need the words. I get the words I need when I need them, unlike right now while I'm making this video. And then if I am having a problem, I'm exhausted, it's the end of a day, I'm harvesting for 2 days straight, I'm making videos while I'm trying to multitask and harvest or that kind of thing, and I need to stay awake longer, and this is temporary, not all the time. I don't push my body like that all the time. When I'm traveling and I have back-to-back dates for a week, these are extenuating circumstances, but I have found that it has the stacking effect. If I'm taking it consistently, then I can wind up in these high gamma flow states. It seems to me, if you want to mess around with higher dose ibotenic acid, and I'm not telling you to, that if you want to get more than just that one piece, and so you experiment with a little bit more. All of us have a limit to ibotenic acid before we get too sensitive to it and we'll get gastric issues. This is definitely a step-by-step, go slow, use it incrementally, and then see how your body reacts to it. If your body is starting to have limits, you will feel a little nauseous or a little crampy in your gut, or you'll start getting twitches in your muscles. That is your stop point. That is your body going, enough. You're taking too much. You're overclocking your nervous system. So that's what you're looking for. And I give you that not as a how-to, but as a harm reduction. That's sort of your stop. What I found that it does for me is it puts me in these high gamma flow states, like the Limitless movie, where I start to see my ability to problem solve all around me. If I'm multitasking, I'm doing things, I can't solve this, I don't know what to do about that, I'm getting overwhelmed. It's like in slow motion and then fast motion, where my brain is running all these scenarios simultaneously, and then poof, it pops out the most efficient way, collapses all the others into it, and I immediately know how to solve that problem. Also, when I take only ibotenic acid, and I use it that way to apply it towards a problem. I want to start writing my book. I am concerned about the outline. I've got all these things I want to discuss. I'm confused about how to organize it and make it make sense. Then I take ibotenic acid. I start thinking and brainstorming. It starts to make perfect sense to me. It starts to fall in line. I get these bigger, broader, if you do this, this community is going to get it, and then this is going to feed back on that, and that's going to help make the case for this, and then this in unison is going to, and if you move that here and that there, and I get these bigger webbed pictures of understanding, right? The coolest thing that comes after that, though, is it'll go over into the muscimol side where I need to rest and come down and I'll nap. That night, though, when I sleep, I wake up the next day and I'm just in another whole zone about it. I'm like, oh my God, this needs this chapter. I should call the chapter this. And then I'm off. Like I'm titling, I'm rearranging, things are making sense to me. And I wake up with this clarity of purpose and understanding. And now I need to divide it, the book, into 3 parts. And these are the parts that make sense. And it becomes a 1 to 2 day endeavor, journey of enlightenment about that project. Without taking it the whole time, just that first time, it's the intention. If I take it with the intention of I just want to get through this Zoom meeting, that's exactly what I do. It's brilliant. I get all these concepts, ideas to bring to the table, the answers of the questions, and all of the things come together, and it's a beautiful meeting. But if I take it with this project and I want it to do good in the world and I want to do right by the people I'm sending it to, I get that. And it just becomes this layering and unfolding beautiful experience. If it's a long-term project, then every time I take ibotenic acid before I go into that project, it brings me again into that intentional space where I ask the question, in what order should I discuss this concept? And the answers blow me away. And I'm like, of course. So when you read my book, Dosing Amanita Muscaria and What to Expect, the reason why things are resonating with you is because even though it was my will and my concept, it was absolutely this mushroom in unison that wrote this book in this way. Because if I can take multi-layered approaches and see things three-dimensionally through time, out, forward, and the past, and me, and others, and bring it all together, imagine what the mycelium has access to and how they can do it. It's beautiful being able to utilize ibotenic acid in this way for attention, clarity, focus. I would say creativity. But creativity is more than color, design, and art. Creativity is the ability to think analytically in creative ways, to problem solve geometrically and to see the geometry of ideas and solutions working the same way that you do under psilocybin, only you can, instead of the colors and in the dark with your eyes closed, it's out in front of you, watching things move and lining up geometrically to make sense, to say this concept and this concept, they're moving, and then all of a sudden they snap into place. There's a lot I can say about ibotenic acid. I want to talk about gamma flow states, and they're so hard to put into words. I know that I do such a good job of talking about my high dose trips, and those are on amanitadreamer.net. YouTube allows some of them, but most of them are on either I take it on camera or my trip stories. And I know I do really good with it, but for some reason, ibotenic acid is extremely elusive for me to try to describe a gamma flow state. But this is the best I could do. The geometry, the layering, the creativity, the multidimensional through time vertically and through time horizontally, the creation of that ability to slow it down in slow motion and then speed it up and then stop it and look at it. But you're not high. I don't know how to explain. And that was the very best that I can do. If you want to join us at Mushroom Voice and go to our themed Zooms, that is tier 2. Tier 1 are all of the regular community Zooms that don't have a theme. They're open to everyone at tier 1. Tier 2, though, is where you go to all of the Zooms that actually have a focus for a particular community or concept or idea. And you'll see all of that at mushroomvoice.com. You'll see that there's no ads on my videos because YouTube not only strikes my channel and takes my shit down, but now they've demonetized me. So the best you can do for the most that you can get out of what I offer you and all my work and labor is to go to amanitadreamer.net. I love you, beautiful people.